The geography will break your brain. People think they know Texas. And honestly, that confidence is adorable. You've seen the bumper stickers. You've driven through on I-10. Maybe you stopped for gas in Amarillo and figured you had the whole thing figured out. Cowboys, oil, barbecue, football, done. But here's what nobody puts on a bumper sticker. Texas has ancient mountains that used to be an ocean floor. Desert canyons that dwarf anything most Americans have ever seen. Swimming holes so clear and so blue they look borrowed from the Caribbean. Mysterious lights in the night sky that have never once been explained. Rock art painted by human hands 4,000 years before anyone thought to write anything down. You don't know Texas, but by the end of this video, you're going to want to. Gem 1. Texas is almost incomprehensibly large, and most people have no real grasp of the scale. Texas covers 268,596 square miles, the largest state in the continental United States by a significant margin. It is larger than France, larger than Spain, larger than Germany. If Texas were an independent country, it would be the 40th largest nation on Earth. Here's the one that gets people every time. Driving from El Paso on the western tip to Beaumont on the eastern border is over 850 miles. That's roughly the same distance as driving from Chicago to New York City. You can drive that entire trip and never once leave Texas. The state has 10 distinct climate zones. It snows in Amarillo, and mangoes grow in the Rio Grande Valley at the same time in the same state. The piney woods of East Texas look like Louisiana. The Chihuahuan Desert of West Texas looks like Mars. The hill country looks like Tuscany. Texas isn't just big. Texas is a continent that got tired of being confused with the rest of North America and decided to go its own way. Gem 2. Palo Duro Canyon, the Grand Canyon's forgotten sibling. And the fact that more people don't know it exists is genuinely criminal. Palo Duro Canyon in the Texas Panhandle near Amarillo is the second largest canyon in the United States, stretching roughly 120 miles long, up to 20 miles wide, and over 800 feet deep. The walls are layered in red, orange, yellow, and purple rock that shifts color through the day like a slow geological light show. The oldest exposed rocks at the canyon floor date back 250 million years to the Permian period, before the dinosaurs existed. Spanish explorer Francisco Vázquez de Coronado stumbled upon it in 1541 and described it as one of the most astonishing geological wonders in the New World. He was not wrong. Every summer, an outdoor musical drama called Texas is performed on a stage built into the canyon walls, a production that has run continuously since 1965. One of the most spectacular natural theaters in the world. Most people 3 states over have never heard of it. Gem 3. Big Bend National Park. One of the most remote, most spectacular, and least visited national parks in the lower 48. Big Bend covers 800,000 acres, bigger than Rhode Island, and contains 3 completely different ecosystems: Chihuahuan Desert, the Chisos Mountains, and the Rio Grande River Corridor. The Chisos Mountains rise to nearly 8,000 feet, creating their own microclimate with forests of pine and juniper growing directly above the desert floor. It shouldn't work. It does. The Rio Grande has carved 1,500-foot-deep limestone canyons through the park's southern edge. Santa Elena Canyon is one of the most dramatic landscapes in North America. Sheer walls rising from the river. The sky reduced to a ribbon of blue above you. The nearest commercial airport is 230 miles away. No cell service, no fast food, no signal. You just sky, rock, river, and a silence so complete it has a texture. Big Bend gets fewer annual visitors than Zion National Park receives in a single month. The people who've been will tell you it changed something in them. Gem 4. The Guadalupe Mountains, home to the highest point in Texas and a geological secret that rewrites how you see the landscape. Guadalupe Peak sits at 8,751 feet. The views from the summit extend over 100 miles in every direction, into New Mexico, across layered mountain ranges and endless desert. But here is the geology fact that stops everyone cold. The Guadalupe Mountains are not mountains in the traditional sense. They are an ancient fossil reef. About 265 million years ago, this entire region was covered by a warm, shallow inland sea. The Guadalupe Mountains are the exposed remains of the Capitan Reef, a 400-mile-long coral and sponge reef that formed along the ocean's edge. You're hiking on the bones of an ancient seafloor in the desert in Texas. Gem 5. Jacob's Well, a bottomless natural spring near Wimberley that is one of the most beautiful and most dangerous swimming holes in the world. Jacob's Well emerges from the earth as a perfectly circular opening about 13 feet in diameter, like a portal carved into the limestone. The water is crystal clear and a constant 68 degrees. From the surface, you can stare straight down into the opening and watch it go darker and deeper until it disappears entirely. Cave divers have partially explored the underwater cave system beneath it, extending to a depth of over 140 feet before splitting into multiple narrow tunnels. 9 divers have died in this cave system since the 1970s, disoriented in the tunnels, unable to find the exit. And yet on the surface, it is genuinely paradise. Families picnic beside it, kids jump from the limestone ledge, cypress trees arch over the water. Jacob's Well is the kind of place that reminds you that beautiful things and dangerous things are sometimes the exact same thing. Respect it. Enjoy it. Don't dive in the cave without training. The cave does not negotiate. Gem 6. Enchanted Rock, a billion-year-old granite dome in the hill country that Native Americans believed was haunted. And honestly, they had a point. Enchanted Rock near Fredericksburg features a 640-acre dome of pink granite rising 425 feet above the surrounding hill country. The granite is approximately 1 billion years old. Precambrian rock formed before complex life existed on Earth. When you touch the summit, you are touching something that formed before fish existed. The rock makes strange sounds at night. As the granite cools after a day of absorbing Texas heat, it creaks and groans. To the Tonkawa and other peoples who lived here for centuries, these sounds were the voices of spirits. Ghost fires were reportedly seen on the summit, likely caused by moonlight reflecting off wet mica in the rock. They called it enchanted. The Spanish called it piedra encantada. It has earned its name. Gem 7. Hamilton Pool Preserve, a collapsed river grotto with a 50-foot waterfall that looks like it belongs in Iceland, not Central Texas. Hamilton Pool in Travis County, about 45 minutes west of Austin, was formed when the dome of an underground river eroded and collapsed thousands of years ago. A 50-foot waterfall pours over a jade-green pool, surrounded by a massive overhanging limestone slab draped in maidenhair ferns. The photos look like they were staged. They weren't. This is real. It is 45 minutes from the Texas state capitol, and it is one of the most surreally beautiful natural swimming spots in the country. Texas isn't supposed to look like this. That's exactly why it's worth knowing about. Gem 8. Caddo Lake, the only naturally formed lake in Texas and home to the largest bald cypress forest in the world. Caddo Lake straddles the Texas-Louisiana border in East Texas. A vast labyrinth of bayous, channels, and still water, all shaded by enormous bald cypress trees draped in Spanish moss, their roots jutting from the black water in ghostly clusters called cypress knees. Caddo Lake is the only natural lake in Texas. Every other significant lake in the state is a man-made reservoir. The cypress forest spans more than 25,000 acres of standing water, making it the largest contiguous bald cypress forest in the world. Paddling through it on a foggy morning, with herons launching from the knees and alligators logging on the banks, feels genuinely ancient. Because it is. Gem 9. The Marfa Lights. A documented, officially recognized, completely unexplained phenomenon that has been reported for over 140 years. On clear nights, mysterious lights appear on the horizon southeast of Marfa, hovering, splitting, merging, changing color, disappearing, and reappearing. They have been documented since at least 1883, when a cowhand named Robert Reed Ellison first reported them while driving cattle through the Guadalupe Mountains. The Texas Department of Transportation built an official viewing area on Highway 90 east of Marfa. Researchers from the University of Texas investigated in 2008 and concluded that while some lights appear consistent with distant car headlights, others behave in ways that cannot be explained by any known atmospheric or vehicular phenomenon. No one has definitively explained them. Go see for yourself. Gem 10. Texas Wildflower Season. One of the most spectacular natural displays in North America and criminally underappreciated outside the state. Every spring, typically late March through April, the Texas hill country erupts in color. Bluebonnets carpet roadsides and fields in vivid purple blue. Indian paintbrush burns orange. Texas has over 5,000 native wildflower species, more than any other state. Those iconic blankets of bluebonnets you see every April represent decades of intentional conservation work, championed by former First Lady Lady Bird Johnson. It lasts about 3 weeks. It is glorious. And then it's gone until next year. Gem 11. Krause Springs near Spicewood. 32 natural springs feeding one of the most beautiful private swimming holes in Texas. The water is so clear, you can see the bottom from 10 feet above it. Ancient cypress trees, a rope swing, a small waterfall. The whole property feels like someone's idealized memory of what a Texas swimming hole should be. About 45 minutes west of Austin. Go on a weekday. Bring a cooler. Plan to stay all day. Gem 12. Hueco Tanks, State Park near El Paso. A cluster of massive granite outcroppings that have drawn people for 10,000 years because the natural rock basins catch and hold rainwater in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert. Over 3,000 pictographs cover the rocks, including vivid mask faces considered among the finest examples of indigenous rock art in the Western Hemisphere. This place rivals Lascaux for historical importance. Most people in Dallas have never heard of it. Gem 13. Balmorhea State Park, the world's largest spring-fed swimming pool in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert. A 1.75-acre, 25-foot deep pool fed by San Solomon Springs at a constant 72 to 76 degrees. Surrounded by nothing but mountains and sky. Built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s, it is certified for scuba diving. And divers share the crystal water with endemic fish species found nowhere else on Earth. Sitting in that pool with cold spring water all around you and desert mountains rising in every direction is one of the most unexpectedly perfect experiences in Texas. Gem 14. Blue Hole Regional Park in Wimberley sits on Cypress Creek, where the water runs over limestone and turns a vivid, almost impossible blue-green. Ancient cypress trees arch over the swimming area. Entry is by timed reservation only, keeping it from being loved to death. And the result is that on any given day it is peaceful, beautiful, and feels like a secret even when it is busy. Wimberley itself is worth the trip. Galleries, food, antiques, and the general sense that the hill country is trying its hardest. Blue Hole is the main event. But don't leave town without wandering around a little. The hill country has a way of making you slow down, and Wimberley is one of the best places in Texas to let it. Gem 15, Caverns of Sonora. Called the most beautiful cave in the world by the National Speleological Society. Its extraordinary helictites grow in defiance of gravity, twisting sideways, upward, and in spirals, following crystal structure rather than physics. 2 hours from anywhere, and gets a fraction of the visitors Carlsbad Caverns receives. People who have seen both tend to call Sonora the more beautiful of the two. No photograph does it justice. You have to stand inside it. Gem 16, Garner State Park on the Frio River. The most beloved state park in Texas, and possibly the hardest campsite reservation in America. Reservations sell out within minutes of becoming available, often months in advance. The Frio River is cold and crystal clear, running through a cypress valley in the hill country. You tube it for hours. You sit in it until you forget what heat feels like. Every summer evening, the park holds an outdoor dance on a concrete slab by the river, a tradition running since the 1940s. Jukebox music, fireflies, multiple generations dancing beside the same river under the same stars. It is the most Texas thing in Texas. Set an alarm for exactly 60 days before your desired date. Have the website open. Be fast. Gem 17, Terlingua. A mercury mining ghost town turned eccentric desert community that hosts the world's most famous chili cook-off. Today, Terlingua has maybe 100 permanent residents, a legendary porch where people drink cold beer while the Chisos Mountains go orange at sunset, and every November, the original Terlingua International Chili Cook-Off, the oldest and most prestigious chili competition in the world, running since 1967. 1 part cooking competition, 1 part music festival, 1 part social experiment. Entirely unforgettable. Gem 18, Goliad, the site of a massacre Texans were once told to remember as fiercely as the Alamo, and almost no one visits today. Remember Goliad was shouted alongside Remember the Alamo as the rallying cry of the Texas Revolution. In March 1836, 2 weeks after the Alamo fell, Mexican General Santa Anna ordered the execution of 342 Texan prisoners of war who had surrendered under terms of safe conduct. The massacre galvanized the Texan army that defeated Santa Anna at San Jacinto weeks later. Goliad State Park preserves the beautifully restored Mission Espiritu Santo, the massacre site and monument, and Presidio La Bahia, a complete 18th century Spanish fort that is one of the finest preserved in North America. The park is peaceful, historically profound, and sees a tiny fraction of the Alamo's crowds. If Texas history moves you, Goliad will complete the picture. Gem 19, Fossil Rim Wildlife Center near Glen Rose, and 1,800-acre conservation facility with a drive-through safari on a 9-mile route where the animals come to you. Giraffes bend their enormous heads through your car window. White rhinos and addax graze nearby. Cheetahs rest in the afternoon sun. Over 50 species live here, many critically endangered. Fossil Rim has sent animals to reintroduction programs across the world. It is serious conservation work wearing the costume of the most fun afternoon drive in Texas. Gem 20. The Guadalupe River between New Braunfels and Seguin is every summer the site of one of the most joyful and quintessentially Texan traditions imaginable, river tubing. Thousands of people float this cold, clear river in inner tubes with cold drinks in hand and the hill country sun overhead. New Braunfels itself was founded in 1845 by German immigrants, and the culture they built, dance halls, sausage traditions, an obsession with cold, clear rivers, is still the backbone of hill country life. The Guadalupe is their best gift to every Texan who came after them. Gem 21. 21. Lockhart, Texas is the official barbecue capital of Texas, a designation granted by the Texas legislature in 1999. 4 legendary barbecue institutions operate here: Kreutz Market, Smitty's, Black's, and Chisholm Trail. Black's Barbecue, founded in 1932, is the oldest continuously operating barbecue restaurant in Texas, still run by the original family. At Kreutz Market, they do not serve sauce. They don't believe in it. They will look at you with something between pity and concern if you ask. Lockhart is a pilgrimage. Treat it as one. Gem 22. The Texas State Cemetery in Austin is the state's Arlington National Cemetery, the final resting place of governors, generals, poets, and the people who built Texas. Stephen F. Austin is buried here. So are Barbara Jordan, James Michener, and Ann Richards. The grounds are immaculate, the monuments are powerful, and admission is completely free. It is one of the most moving places in Austin. Almost no tourists know it exists. Gem 23. Shiner, Texas, population 2,100, is home to the Spitzel Brewery, which has been producing Shiner Bock since 1909. It is the best-selling craft beer in Texas and one of the most iconic regional beers in America. The brewery offers free tours and samples, and the chance to stand in the original building where Czech and German immigrants first set this tradition in motion. On brew days, the town of Shiner smells like malt and hops. There are worse things a town could smell like. Gem 24. Luckenbach, Texas. Official population 3. A dance hall, a bar, a general store, and a few buildings under massive live oak trees. Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson immortalized it in their 1977 hit, and the song turned a barely there crossroads into a country music landmark. Live music plays almost every weekend. People sit in the dirt under the oaks and listen. It is the simplest, most honest kind of Texas experience. Gem 25. The San Antonio Riverwalk welcomes over 11 million visitors a year, and most of them don't know it almost became a storm sewer. In the 1920s, city officials wanted to pave over the river bend and use it as a drainage channel. A young architect named Robert H. Hugman proposed turning it into a pedestrian promenade instead. The city built it using WPA labor during the Depression. The result is now one of the most visited urban attractions in the United States. A near miss for the history books. Gem 26. McDonald Observatory in Fort Davis operates some of the world's most powerful telescopes and offers public star parties 3 nights a week. The Davis Mountains record some of the darkest, clearest skies in the continental United States. World-class astronomy made genuinely accessible to anyone who drives to Fort Davis. 2 hours from anywhere, worth every mile. Gem 27. The Chinati Foundation in Marfa is one of the most important contemporary art destinations in the United States. Artist Donald Judd moved to Marfa in the 1970s, bought an abandoned military fort, and installed 100 large aluminum sculptures in 2 converted artillery sheds. The light changes how the sculptures look by the hour. People fly to Midland, drive 2 hours through the desert, and stand in those sheds and cry. Art does that sometimes. Gem 28. Green Hall near New Braunfels is the oldest continuously operating dance hall in Texas, built in 1878. Original wooden floors, original tin roof, open sides, a stage that has held George Strait, Lyle Lovett, Willie Nelson, and virtually every significant name in Texas music. No air conditioning, no velvet rope, just music, dancing, and the smell of cedar and cold beer soaked into these walls for 150 years. Going to Green Hall is not attending a show. It is participating in an unbroken tradition. Gem 29. The 6th floor museum at Dealey Plaza in Dallas occupies the former Texas School Book Depository and documents the assassination of President Kennedy on November 22, 1963. The window from which shots were fired is preserved exactly as it was. Looking down at Elm Street and the X on the pavement that marks where Kennedy was struck is one of the most sobering and unforgettable museum experiences in the country. Gem 30. Barton Springs Pool in Austin is a 3-acre natural swimming pool fed by underground springs, maintaining a 68-degree temperature year-round, sitting inside Zilker Park in the middle of the city. In the 1990s, Austin residents fought a major legal battle to protect the Barton Springs salamander, an endangered species that lives only in this pool, from upstream development. They won. On a summer afternoon, half of Austin is in this water. Gem 31. Port Aransas on Mustang Island sits directly on the Central Flyway, one of North America's great migration corridors, and sees extraordinary concentrations of migrating birds each spring and fall. The Leonabelle Turnbull Birding Center in town has free loaner binoculars and boardwalks over wetlands. On a peak migration morning, the trees are, without exaggeration, dripping with warblers. Gem 32. The National Museum of the Pacific War in Fredericksburg is one of the finest military museums in the United States, and it sits in a small German hill country town because Fleet Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, Supreme Commander of Pacific Naval Forces in World War II, was born there. The museum covers the entire Pacific Theater in extraordinary depth. Military historians consider it world-class. Most people drive through Fredericksburg for the wine and don't know it's there. Gem 33. Seminole Canyon. State Park near Comstock contains rock art dating back 4,000 years, some of the oldest in North America. Guided tours lead to the Fate Bell Shelter, where the Pecos River culture left panels of vivid pictographs unlike anything else on the continent. This is the deep prehistory of Texas, art made thousands of years before the first European ever arrived on this shore. Gem 34. The forts of the Texas frontier, including Fort Davis, Fort McCavitt, Fort Concho, and Fort Lancaster, form a chain of 19th century military installations across west and central Texas built to protect settlers on the frontier. Several are preserved as state or national historic sites with original stone buildings and reconstructed interiors. The Buffalo Soldiers, the Black Cavalry regiments who served on the frontier after the Civil War, built and garrisoned many of them. Fort Davis in particular is one of the best preserved frontier forts in the country. Their story deserves to be told a lot more than it is. Gem 35. Padre Island National Seashore is the longest undeveloped barrier island in the world. 70 miles of completely wild Gulf Coast with no development and no paved roads beyond the first few miles. Kemp's Ridley sea turtles, the most endangered sea turtle species in the world, nest here. And the park runs one of the most successful Turtle Head Start programs anywhere. This is the Texas coast as it has always been. Gem 36. Texas has its own power grid. ERCOT operates an electrical grid deliberately isolated from the eastern and western U.S. grids, primarily to avoid federal regulation. The trade-off became tragically clear in February 2021, when Winter Storm Uri overwhelmed the system and left 4.5 million homes without power for days in freezing temperatures. Texas independence is a philosophy. Sometimes it has consequences measured in lives. Gem 37. Texas was its own country for nearly 10 years. The Republic of Texas existed from 1836 to 1846, with its own president, Congress, currency, navy, and foreign policy recognized diplomatically by France, Britain, and the United States. When Texas joined the U.S. in 1846, it negotiated a unique right, the ability to divide itself into up to 5 states if it ever chose to. This right still technically exists. Texas has never used it. Texas prefers to remain one very large, undivided thing. Gem 38. Texas has more bird species than any other state, over 650 recorded, representing about 75% of all species found in North America. The Rio Grande Valley in the far south is one of the great birding destinations on Earth, drawing specialists from 50 countries who come to see species found nowhere else in the U.S. Gem 39. The King Ranch in South Texas is larger than the state of Rhode Island. At 825,000 acres across 6 counties, it is the largest ranch in the continental United States. Founded in 1853, it has been in the same family for over 170 years and developed the Santa Gertrudis, the first breed of beef cattle ever developed in the Western Hemisphere. It has its own museum, its own saddle shop, and its own zip code. Gem 40. Texas produces more oil than most countries. In recent years, Texas has pumped roughly 5 to 6 million barrels per day, more than Iran, more than the UAE. The Permian Basin in West Texas, supercharged by advances in hydraulic fracturing, has become the most productive oil field in U.S. history and one of the most consequential energy sources on the planet. Texas energy doesn't just power Texas, it moves the global economy. Gem 41. The Texas state capitol in Austin is 14.6 feet taller than the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. This was intentional. Texas commissioned the building in 1888 specifically to exceed the national capitol in height. Because of course it did. The state paid for it not with cash, but with 3 million acres of panhandle land given to the construction company. Texas has always made interesting deals. Gem 42. Dr. Pepper was invented in Waco, Texas in 1885, 1 year before Coca-Cola. The Dr. Pepper Museum is housed in the original 1906 bottling plant and is one of the most specifically delightful museums in the country. Texas gave the world Dr. Pepper. The world has never fully reckoned with this gift. Gem 43. The Texas horned lizard, known locally and lovingly as the horny toad, possesses one of the most extraordinary defense mechanisms in all of animal biology. It shoots blood from its eyes. When threatened, the lizard restricts blood flow from its head, builds up pressure until vessels near the eyelids rupture, and fires a stream of foul-tasting blood up to 5 feet at a predator. It works. Texas animals, like Texas people, do not mess around. Gem 44. Barbed wire was invented and commercialized in the 1870s, and it changed everything about Texas and the American West. Before barbed wire, the open range was genuinely open. Its arrival divided the land into private property, ended the era of the great cattle drives, triggered violent range wars between fence cutters and fence builders, and permanently reorganized the culture and economy of the West. The Devil's Rope Museum in McLean, Texas, has the world's largest collection of barbed wire, over 2,000 varieties. Barbed wire has varieties. Gem 45. Dinosaur Valley State Park near Glen Rose preserves actual dinosaur footprints left in ancient coastal mud 113 million years ago. You can wade in the Paluxy River and step your foot into the same impressions these animals made. Texas also has an official state dinosaur. Obviously it does. Gem 46. The Lyndon Baines Johnson Presidential Library in Austin is the most visited presidential library in the United States, and one of the most honest. LBJ's presidency encompassed the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, Medicare, Medicaid, Vietnam, and the Great Society. The library doesn't sanitize any of it. The collection of personal phone call recordings gives you an almost uncomfortably intimate window into presidential power. The Oval Office replica is jaw-dropping. Admission is free. Gem 47. Cadillac Ranch outside Amarillo is one of the most famous and most inexplicable public art installations in America. 10 Cadillac cars, ranging in model from 1949 to 1963, are buried nose first in a wheat field at the same angle as the Great Pyramid of Giza. They have been there since 1974. Visitors are encouraged and expected to spray paint them. The Cadillacs are repainted every single day by whoever shows up with a can. They are never the same color twice. They make no rational sense. They are perfect. Gem 48. The Permian Basin Petroleum Museum in Midland tells the story of Texas oil with more depth and honesty than you might expect, covering the science of how petroleum forms, the economics of boom and bust, and the human stories of the roughnecks and wildcatters who built West Texas. Midland itself is a fascinating American city, flat, sun-blasted, and unapologetically itself. Gem 49. The confluence of the Rio Grande, Pecos River, and Devils River in Val Verde County forms some of the most remote, wild, and ancient river canyon country in North America. The walls are lined with Pecos River culture rock art dating back 4,000 years. Very few people have seen this landscape in person. Those who have paddled it on multi-day trips call it transformative. It is Texas at its most raw, its most old, its most itself. And the last one, number 50, the one that puts it all in perspective. On July 20th, 1969, when Apollo 11 touched down on the surface of the moon, the first words transmitted back to Earth were, "Houston, tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed." Houston, the first word from the moon. NASA's Johnson Space Center has been the nerve center of American human spaceflight since 1961. Every crewed mission, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, Space Shuttle, the International Space Station, has been controlled from Houston. Every spacewalk, every near disaster. When the Apollo 13 oxygen tank exploded 200,000 miles from Earth, the astronauts called Houston. Houston brought them home. Space Center Houston is one of the most underrated attractions in Texas. Real Saturn V rockets. Original mission control rooms frozen in time. Real spacecraft. You can stand in the room where human beings worked out how to go to the moon. Texas is King Ranch and barbed wire, and Dr. Pepper and 650 species of birds. It's Palo Duro Canyon, and the Frio River, and Gruene Hall, and Bluebonnet Fields. It's ghost towns, and chili cook-offs, and an art installation in the desert, and a lizard that shoots blood from its eyes. It is also the place that answered when the moon called, Houston. First word from another world. That's Texas. 50 gems, one state. And I could do another 50 tomorrow and not run out. Drop your favorite Texas hidden gem in the comments. I want to know what I missed. And if you went somewhere on this list and it blew your mind, come back and tell me. Like this video if it taught you something, subscribe if you want more. Share it with someone who thinks Texas is just a long drive on I-10. It is so much more than that. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this.